Hi, I'm here with Dr. Darby from Hebron Animal Hospital and Reba from Silver Snout Dog Rescue, and they're here today to help us learn a little bit more about dog eye care. Dr. Darby, what's the most important thing when it comes to taking care of my dog's eyes?
One of the most important things when it comes to taking care of your dog's eyes is just making sure to look daily and see any changes, and to make sure to keep the area clean that's right in front of the eyes right there.
Should I bring my dog in to see a veterinarian if I suspect a vision problem?
You definitely should if you're starting to suspect any vision problems. Some vision problems that we see in dogs can actually be, prevented or slowed, and we can reverse some of the changes if we catch it early.
What are some signs and symptoms that we might see in Reba if she had an eye issue?
So if Reba had an eye issue, we'll start with a vision issue. One thing you might notice is that she's bumping into walls or bumping into furniture, especially if you move the furniture in your house or if you go to a new place she's not familiar with. A lot of dogs are very good at compensating when they have vision problems, and they have a tendency to run into things whenever it's a new place.
Why is it important to avoid self-diagnosing my dog's eye issues?
So whenever you self-diagnose an eye issue, sometimes you might be right, but if you are wrong, there's really big risks, especially if you're using leftover medications to treat. Some medications can make your eye condition much worse.
Why is early detection and diagnosis of problems with the dog's eyes or eyes so important?
So it's definitely important to detect problems early because the eye likes to scar, and when it scars, it lays down pigment, and that pigment makes it to where we can't change that. That pigment's always going to be there, and that can cause permanent vision changes for your pet.
Are certain dog breeds more prone to eye issues?
There are a lot of dog breeds that are more prone to eye issues. The biggest group that we see are what we call the brachycephalics. So those are the dogs that we see, the bulldogs, the French bulldogs, the mastiffs, any of those with the short, cute faces that you just want to hug. Their eyes are really prone to having any sort of disease. We also think about pugs and Boston Terriers because their eyes are so exposed. They have a tendency to have eye issues.
How will cataracts be diagnosed in my dog, and what is the treatment?
Whenever you're seeing cataracts in a dog and you're suspicious of it, you come in for an exam and your doctor's going to look at your pet's eyes with a special sort of light. And they're essentially looking to make sure that light can go all the way to the back of the eye and isn't stopped in the lens where the cataracts are. Once they're diagnosed, sometimes we can go and do a procedure via a specialist, an eye specialist, an ophthalmologist, who would be able to remove part of that cataract.
What is the best way to give Reba eye medication?
So the best way to give a pet's eye medication is through training and positive reinforcement. Each pet's going to do it differently. We have some tips whenever you're here, and if you ever have to give eye medicine, definitely ask your technicians and your doctors for tips on how to give them. But I always say you can do it because the Cincinnati Zoo gives eye drops to a cougar every single day, 3 times a day. You can do it.
What can I do for my dog that has a cherry eye?
If your dog has a cherry eye, which is when the third eyelid, or the nictitating membrane is what it's called, pops up and down, it gets stuck out, and that's called a cherry eye. And if your pet has that, there's nothing that you can really do in the moment to fix it. You need to come and see your veterinarian who is going to diagnose what might have caused that, and if it's something that might need a surgical repair, or if it's something that we can manage medically.
Will a dog eye infection eventually resolve itself?
Sometimes, but very rarely. A lot of times if dogs get eye infections, it itches and causes them to paw at their face and squint, which will just disrupt the healing. So one of the main steps that we're doing when we're treating dog eye infections is keeping the dog from reversing all the healing their body's doing. So very rarely will they heal on their own.
Can I give my dog human eye drops?
We do not recommend giving your pet human eye drops unless they're prescribed it and filled by your veterinarian.
What are some causes of dog blindness?
There are a few different causes for dog blindness, and it happens all through the different parts of the eye. So the most common spot that we'll see dogs go blind from is when their cornea becomes too hard to see through, and that can be through scarring or through other changes. Then we can see cataracts form in the lens, and that can cause them to be blind from that.
Can I give my dog human eye drops?
We do not recommend giving your pet human eye drops unless they're prescribed it and filled by your veterinarian.
What are some causes of dog blindness?
There are a few different causes for dog blindness, and it happens all through the different parts of the eye. So the most common spot that we'll see dogs go blind from is when their cornea becomes too hard to see through, and that can be through scarring or through other changes. Then we can see cataracts form in the lens, and that can cause them to be blind from that. And the last two causes are going to be coming from the very back of the eye, where the fundus is, and that's where the body processes the information, and then in the brain. So it's very important to get a veterinarian to figure out where your dog's blindness is coming from.
What should I do if I notice my dog is losing their sight?
If your dog is losing their sight, definitely bring them in for a regular checkup with your veterinarian.
Can regular cleaning of my dog's eyes prevent eye issues?
Especially dogs that have very short faces and their skin can come into contact with their face. Cleaning your dog's eyes definitely can help prevent a lot of long-term issues, but it'll also get your dog used to being handled around their face and make it easier for us to do an eye exam, and they'll be more used to handling for if you have to do eye medications.
Thanks, Dr. Darby, for helping us learn a little bit more about dog eyes. If you have any questions, please give us a call.